The Board of Education's budget is built on a series of district goals. There are 6 of them. To develop a rigorous curriculum for all students, to move forward the effort to consolidate the 2 high schools and develop a world-class high school as we move forward, to implement full-day kindergarten, something that has been a very passionate issue and very attaching issue for many people, to expand our use of data so that we can track our data, so we can make better decisions about student learning, and so that we can meet the state mandates required to report our data to the state in a method that will satisfy the requirements by law. To meet the state mandate of developing a new evaluation system, all educators who are certified in the state of Connecticut must be evaluated using a new set of guidelines. One of our goals is to develop a system that will allow us to do that and then have it approved by the State Department of Education. And to work on various collaborative initiatives which will improve our efficiency, make us a better organization, find ways to get additional funding sources, and create better opportunities for our staff and for our students. The budget the board put together at 3.98% moves forward all 6 of these goals. They're able to make advancement in all areas. Some historical data for you to look at. The first one is our enrollment numbers. You can see across the top, our enrollment numbers are dipping slightly, and you'll see in a chart just in a moment that they are dropping a little bit at a time. What's important to note is the number of students leaving Enfield to go to magnet schools, and that was 232 students, or 2.65% from the year before. The following year, 6.89%, or 248 students. Then a few less students left in 10-11, but in 11-12 and 12-13, the magnet school operations have done a tremendous job recruiting students from all communities. And they've recruited 309 students from Enfield in 2011-12, and this year 401 students who live in Enfield go to school in magnet schools. And in addition to that, 325 students applied, new students applied for seats in magnet schools, and 104 have been offered seats in magnet schools for next year. So if they were all to take them, which we don't think they will, we'd be over 500. So that's kind of an alarming trend and something that we need to think about and make good decisions when we do our things here in Enfield so that students will be wanting to stay. The first good decision that we made, we're going to consolidate the high schools. We're going to build a brand new facility, and that is something that will for sure make people want to go to school here and think twice about getting on a bus and traveling somewhere else to go to school. Our certified staff has also dropped in accordance with the enrollment and with the budget numbers. And as the town manager said, we are facing very difficult and challenging economic times over the last 5 years, and the budgets reflect that. The good news was that there was some support that allowed us to continue to do good things in 10-11 and 11-12. Over $2 million in 10-11, $1.65 million in 11-12, $24,000 in 12-13, but there were some other additional one-time funds that helped bring the board's budget back into balance. Now, the town manager was very forthright. When I met with him early on in the summer, I've just been here since July, we met early on in the summer, and he said, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem because we closed the hole in this year's budget by using one-time funds. And those funds are not going to be available for us next spring when we go to the budget. And as we work through this presentation, you're going to see what the impact of that is. And so we have to think very carefully about how we want to move forward and close that hole. Here you can see the enrollments. The green are the Enfield students. These are students who are going to school in the Enfield Public Schools. The gold at the top are the students who are leaving Enfield. Those are Enfield children who are leaving to go to magnet schools, and that number has been growing. And the voc ag numbers are staying about the same in the middle. So one of the things we'll need to do is convince the parents of this community that this is the place they want to send their children to go to school. Because you heard Senator Kissel talk to the board last night, and he called this a double dip. And the reason he called it that is we get billed for those students that go to magnet schools. And if they stay past October 1st, we have to pay the full bill for the full year. And after October 1st, if they come back to us, we still have to then educate them here in Enfield and continue to pay their tuition as they go for the magnet school. So if they make a decision in November to come back, we pay the full year tuition at the magnet school, and we utilize our resources here in Enfield to educate those children. So this is a very expensive proposition, not just for Enfield, for all communities across the state, and it's something we need to think hard about in terms of marketing our schools so that children will want to go to school here. On January 8th, I presented a budget to the Board of Education. It's a needs-based budget, and it came from our staff. Our teachers and our building administrators worked hard to identify their needs, and they identified a lot of them, $72 million worth of needs. My office cut that $5 million, and we presented a budget of 5.98% to the Board of Education on January 8th. The Board of Education worked with the budget and made significant reductions. They reduced an initiative to put elementary assistant principals in place. They reduced an initiative to get started with our computer adaptive testing. They were able to take some adjustments because we have some teachers retiring, and the cost of the new teachers coming in won't be as expensive as the ones who are leaving. They reduced the initiative for our data warehouse system. Part of that is required, as I said before, that we send our data to the states. We're going to have to do some work there. We reduced that a little bit. We've reduced our iPad consortium. This year, the board was able to purchase 300 iPads and put them in the hands of students all around the district. We were hoping to be able to increase that with another 200 iPads. We took 50% of the funding for that away. We look for alternative methods to fund expansion of JFK sports. Last year the sports were put in. This year we wanted to add 3 new sports. We're looking for some ways to additionally fund that. We'd hope to put 12-month clerical support in all of our schools for 2 reasons. One, to support our principals and do the good work they need to do. And second, for a safety initiative to make sure there was someone monitoring the front door of all of our buildings all year long. CCSS is the Common Core State Standards. We're being required, it's a mandate, to upgrade our curriculum to a new set of standards which 47 states across the country have adopted. And SEED is the State Educator Evaluation Document, which is also another state mandate. We're able to remove some of the money from that, but you'll see in a little while there's some of it that's still there, and that's the mandated money that we're going to be required to spend. We've reduced our paraprofessional staff for our special education students. We've cut a little bit of money out of postage as we continue to gain some efficiencies from our school messenger all-call system. So when the board finished with its work, they took the superintendent's budget and they reduced it $1.26 million, and they presented a budget to the town council and town manager of 3.98%. And as I said before, this budget will move forward all 6 of the board's goals. But by far the initiative that we're most passionate about is full-day kindergarten. Getting full-day kindergarten back in Enfield would be a key priority for the board and for many others as well. Why do we want it? Because it'll increase our instructional time 40 to 50% for every child. We know that it will lead to increased academic success. The research tells us there's much less of a retention rate in grades 1 through 3 for students who attend a full-day kindergarten program. And we believe it'll save money, because this will be one of those incentives that will keep children here in Enfield, and we won't be paying magnet school tuition. When we look at why students go to magnet schools, they usually leave at the transition areas, right at the very beginning in kindergarten, when they go to middle school, and they go to the high school. I believe we've solved the high school problem. People would be foolish to want to go to another high school besides the one that we're going to build here. Now we need to address the other 2 areas, one being the full-day kindergarten. What will it take? It's going to take 8 teachers, 8 new kindergarten classrooms across the district. Our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Dressa, came up with a plan. He found a way to reallocate 5 teachers within the district to utilize existing resources for 5 of the teachers. And our principals were very creative in creating the space within the schools that we need. And we need 3 additional teachers. Teachers will have to go out and hire. So we need to use 5 of the teachers we already have, plus obtain 3 more. And we're not the only folks who think full-day kindergarten is an important thing. The schools, the districts you see here in the blue currently have full-day kindergarten. Some of them have had them for over 10 years. Ellington and Tolland are looking to put it in 2014 and 15, and the beige districts, which includes Enfield, have got it in their budget and are considering it and moving forward and hope to put it in for the fall. Now we just found out that South Windsor's budget was approved. It was approved at 3.97%, and they will be implementing full-day kindergarten. On the other hand, we're hearing that the budget in Vernon is not doing as well, and they're wrestling to see whether they're going to be able to meet their initiative. We're hoping that we can turn Enfield blue on this diagram and put full-day kindergarten in next year. Town manager showed you a budgetary cycle. We have a version of that ourselves. Our budget starts in the schools and the classrooms, with the staff who are closest to our students telling us what they need. They ask for 13.9% of new things. Superintendent reduced that to 5.98. Board of Education reduced it to 3.98. The town manager is proposing 1.78, and the town council still has a lot of work to do to make a final decision. So we're right here, this space between what the board is proposing and what the board knows it can do with a reasonable budget of 3.98 and what the town manager feels is appropriate and affordable for the entire town. Now, the Board of Education is very focused on the children of the community. Our town councilors are focused on every single person and every business that lives in the community. So there are different focuses. So we are here to advocate, obviously, for the work of the board, but we certainly understand that the work of the council is a little bit different. But let's take a look at this gap for a second. The gap right now between the two requests $1.416 million. The Board of Education, since it has passed along the budget to the town council, has identified $500,000 in reductions. They went back and they looked for things that they have already figured they can take out. The options that they have left to consider, if they're going to try to get back and close this $1.4 million gap, are in new initiatives and in staffing. We talked about the fixed mandated cost down below. We have a shared IT department. We equally fund it. So we have a commitment there. We have a $940,000 commitment. We have the cost for our special education students who are not going to school in the district, who need special services outside the district, and those costs are going up. Those costs are going up a little over $500,000. We are budgeting for an increase in those students who are already going to magnet schools of about $104,000. As I said before, there are some Common Core and evaluation mandates coming from the state that we'll need to address, and that will cost about $137,000. So these aren't areas where the board has the latitude of going in and saying, we just don't want to do that. They have to do that. The impact of a 1.78% budget, if we were to take enough things out in order to bridge that gap, the impact would be, the initiatives would have to go, and the first one that would have to go would be the no full day we would not be able to fund full day kindergarten at 1.78. It's just a number that we could not do it at. We'd also have to eliminate 30 plus positions, many of them teaching, but also in support areas like guidance and social work and nursing and clerical. But it's inevitable we'd see higher class sizes at all levels, at elementary schools, at JFK, and at both high schools. Class sizes would go up. And we'd have to eliminate some of the offerings that students would have the opportunity to take at the high school level. Some of those elective areas, and unfortunately then students would be either forced into other areas or else left without areas to study and may wind up sitting in study halls versus attending classes and enhancing their education. So the impact at 1.78 is not good. And we'd be looking, and the board would have to really seriously consider the things it would need to do in order to bridge that gap. We have some critical challenges. As I said before, meeting the individual needs of every single student is a critical challenge for the Board of Education. We're obligated. It's a responsibility we have. And our town council has to build a budget that addresses the needs of our students, but also addresses the needs of the entire community. And that's a balancing act. And it's a tough one. And it's even tougher in tough economic times. But these are critical challenges, and these are things that the folks on the board and the town council will wrestle with and find solutions to accomplish. We think about our greatest need. We look back at all the things that we think about that we really want to accomplish. And we've heard it from our parents. We were out talking to parents all fall. We've heard it from our professional staff. And you'll hear it from the counselors and the board members. And it validates the theory of action we have for our third goal, to implement full-day kindergarten. And we believe if the Enfield Public Schools affords all students with a full-day kindergarten program, then student achievement will improve and our learners will become better prepared for their academic careers. With all of our goals, we have a theory of action, why we believe it. This is our most important one. We believe we should put our resources into our young children to get them started on their academic career on the right foot. So what are the next steps? We all want the same thing. We want a good educational system. We want to give our children an opportunity. The question becomes, where's the budgetary middle ground to make it happen? We know that the gap between what the board is asking for and what the town manager feels he could support won't get us the things that we really want. And so we have to look, and we have to think, and we have to work, and we have to figure out how we might get to a place that'll keep us balanced and get the things that we're all looking for. So I'll turn it back to Mr. Neville and let him finish up for us.
I think this is a good place to end and begin with. I'm standing here tonight because we have a problem, and we're standing here because we need your help. I'm going to wrap up with just a few comments on the dimensions of the problem and its educational impacts on the school system, kind of reiterating some of the things that Dr. Schumann has said. But I'm also going to ask you to work with us on finding a way to get us much of what we all want. Dr. Schumann said it, we all want the same thing. Everyone's aware that after much compromise, we came up with our 3.98 increase. And the request was composed of mostly fixed cost and by design, very few new initiatives. We knew the economic climate we existed in. We know what the needs of Enfield are, and we kept that in mind when we developed the budget. We felt our 3.98 budget was reasonable. We cut it down from 5.98 and from a higher number before that. I think everyone's aware that full-day kindergarten was at the top of everybody's wish list, and it's at the top of mine as well. It's been in our budget request for several years, but has always been listed as too expensive to carry out. Thanks to Chris Drezick, he put together a plan, and I think Dr. Schumann went through that. It made it reasonable, but it required us to reallocate certain positions, and that was in the budget. Based on his work, everyone felt that this was the year we should and could institute all-day kindergarten. It made our kids competitive with the surrounding towns. You saw the graphic that Dr. Schumann put out there, and I think it gives our kids a chance. It also will, in the long run, eliminate some cost and some retention issues that we've had in the current day. We knew, however, that we had to meet fixed cost and mandates first, and we felt by minimizing new initiatives in our budget, we had a chance to do this. Unfortunately, I think many folks only heard the full-day K part of our proposal and not the need to meet our fixed cost and mandate obligations. When the town manager proposed budget to the council came out recommending cutting our 3.98 to a 1.78 increase, we knew our problem had gotten much, much worse. A larger requested increase than the one proposed by the manager would unfortunately necessitate significant cuts, and some of them were itemized by Dr. Schumann. An additional $1.4 million in cuts was needed to meet that proposal, and with most of the budget request in fixed costs and mandates, where can you find that kind of money other than cutting new initiatives, and unfortunately staff as well. We had another problem. Everybody, it seemed, parents, teachers, administrators, Board of Ed, and town council members all wanted to bring back full-day K, and we had insufficient proposed funds to do it. Everyone felt we had a choice somehow of cutting other line items so that those funds could be allocated to the full-day K new initiative. Unfortunately, fixed cost and mandates can't be deferred or cut. You have to pay the bill. So that left us with only cuts in initiatives and staff to reach that $1.4 million number, the shortfall in the budget. We've been here before. You saw the list of the budget allocations over the last 5 or 6 years, but not to this extent. Last year, as the superintendent stated, we saved money by one-time cuts. We saved 1% of our budget, and the council allowed us to apply that to this year's budget. We used some of the deferred stimulus funds that we hadn't spent in anticipation of this, along with some one-time cuts to get our budget allocation. But unfortunately, one-time cuts by definition are one-time. You can't use them over and over again to do it. And again, we need and are asking for your help. The educational impact, based on Dr. Schumann's presentation, is clear. There's a significant and dramatic negative impact on the school system if we have to meet that 1.78 proposal. We take a cut of at least 30 staff members and the cut of all initiatives to reach that number. He talked about increased class sizes, fewer electives, program cuts, and cuts in support personnel, just as some of the impact that would come as a result of that. In my opinion, it would actually be more than 21 teacher cuts as outlined last night by the superintendent. Some of the personnel that are on there, like the nurses that we had in there, I think it would be unsafe not to have them in there, particularly given some of the initiatives that, with the help of the council and our suicide prevention committee, that joint suicide prevention committee that we had for the last year, that we've made some inroads in that with the staffing that we've had. And I think these people play a key role in that, and I would hate to see that cut. Keeping them in the organization, unfortunately, would lead to some additional teacher cuts. So the problem then is clear, and that's the problem I'm coming to you about. We have insufficient funds to meet both fixed costs, mandates, and also do what we all want, which is full-day kindergarten. So I'm here with hat in hand asking you to work with us to get what all of us, the council, the board, and the public here tonight, all want. My first choice would be our 3.98 budget. We feel it's reasonable and needs-based. However, I have to tell you, we can't meet our fixed cost mandates or all-day kindergarten without dramatic cuts with the current proposal on the table. And again, we're here because we need your help. I asked this last night, and I'm asking it again tonight. Is there some middle ground that we can arrive at that will get us some, though not everything, we both want? If we work together as we have in the past to reach our common goal, we can do it. And you recall, over the past few years, we've worked together to be more efficient, as evidenced by the elementary school reorganization, the closing of the 2 elementary schools, the movement of the 6th grade to the middle school, and finally, this year, achieving the support from the community for consolidated Enfield High School. And I think we all should be proud, the community should be proud of the success of these efforts. How did we do it? We identified the problem, which is what we're doing tonight. We agreed the community needed it. We came together on a common goal, and we worked together to achieve that goal. We're ready to work with you, the council, and the community to find that budget balance depicted on the slide up above. We have to find that difference between that the gap identifies on the superintendent's slides. I'd love to be able to sit here and say we can do it without any additional funds, but I'd be lying to you. The problem, it's impossible to make it happen with the current amount that's on the table. We're asking you to work with us and our parents to get there. We're asking you to listen to the folks that are here tonight speaking, understand the need, understand the dimension of the problem, understand what we've done to try to resolve that problem. We have faith in the council, we have faith in the public to work with us. There's a way for us to get to this middle ground. Please make it happen. Thank you.